I was checking out some old trailers from the movies back in the 90s that really inspired me. And a thought came to me about how important music was back in the day. I don't feel like they use music the way that they used to. And I was like, man, I want to make sure I have music in my show, you know? So I went online and did some research on this one. So we're gonna mess around with that too. Not right now, but you know, later. It's called Cakewalk. So we're gonna use that one. Experiment with it, mess around with it. I don't know how to write music or make music. When I was in junior high school, I played the trombone in band, but that's as close as I came to making music. We will learn together. Hmm. We will come back to the middle. We won't start at the middle because I feel like it's getting confused. What it should snap to. The middle portion last. Yeah, maybe since Chauncey's really sweet, maybe he comes from like a pretty decent home. Um, Not to say that Jimmy doesn't come from a decent home because he does. It's just his parents have a different ideology. But Chauncey's family is um, like old school black people. Big on just trying to be good people and trying to do the right thing. So maybe he'll have some struggles with that, because he's running with these guys who aren't necessarily doing the right things. We'll see. But that makes sense with his haircut, right? Because his family's like, you ain't wearing that black top. That's not, whatever. So, you just don't have a regular haircut. That's it. You ain't getting lines in your head and all that. That sounds good. That sounds like a plan. Hmm? So yeah, I was showing my daughter, because I was like, I gotta have some scenes with some officers, of course, because like these guys on the other side of the law. And I was showing my daughter the scene from Boys in the Hood, the first scene where Trey went to go stay with his dad, Furious. And that first night he was there. Well, he stayed with his dad all the time, but this time he's gonna stay with him for good because he got in trouble. And his mom told him, if you didn't straighten up, I'm assuming you're gonna live with your dad the whole time. So he's at his dad's house first night, and somebody breaks into the house, and Furious wakes up and sees the guy, and he tries to shoot him, but he gets away. And so of course he calls the cops, and the cops, they take a long time to get there. And then when they do get there, it's like one black cop, one white cop, right? And they get out the car and they're like, you call the police, right? And the black cop, he's eating something, drinking some coffee, maybe a donut. And he's like, yeah, Furious, yeah, I called you guys about almost an hour ago. And then the black dude's like, hey, ho, 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 we didn't ask you that. He was just such a hater. I was like, I definitely have to have a cop like him in my story. It's a good movie if you've never seen Boys in the Hood. Talking to my daughter about, just the senselessness of, all the killing and, but then at the same time, you kind of empathize with the people that want to kill other people, right? Because, Ricky, he ends up getting murdered over nothing, and then, Doughboy goes out and finds the guys that killed him, and then he kills them. And then, later they say in the story that Doughboy ends up getting killed like the next week, right? Because it's a cycle, right? Nobody is stopping to say, yeah, you murdered someone that I love, but let me not, take revenge and kill and take your life, because then the next person, right? Because yeah, that person killed one of your loved ones and you went and killed them because they killed your loved ones. Well, now that person's loved ones, now they're gonna kill you because you killed their loved ones, and then it just keeps going on and on and on. It's just crazy. That's a good movie. And then as I was looking at old trailers, I came across Sugar Hill, and the one with Wesley Snipes in it. And that was a good one too. Oh, and then I happened to come across, of course, Malcolm X again, the Spike Lee version, and there was a scene where Malcolm had started to distance himself from Muhammad, the Muslim religion. And one of the people that he was very close with, he was still hanging around him, and he told him, you know, when he dropped him off, he's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, they gave me a mission. And he's like, well, what did they tell you? And he's like, they told me to, you know, put a bomb in your car so that it would explode when you started the engine. He said, but I can't do that because, you know, I love you guys. And I think that was the first time. I think I seen that movie when I was maybe like, let's see, that movie probably came out in '93, so I was probably like 11. That's the first time I think I had an understanding of betrayal. Right? Pretty good. I mean, I like a lot of Spike Lee stuff. You know, I like Jungle Fever. I like Girl 6. I like a lot of his stuff. I don't think he writes anymore. Or at least he doesn't make any films. He might still write, but I used to be a big fan of Tyler Perry. I like Tyler Perry's films. I mean, his plays, you know, which I guess he turned into films. I like the plays, you know, but once the films started, I think I liked the first few ones, but then it kind of started to kind of become boring. Would I ever want to work with Tyler Perry? I would not against it, but I probably won't, just because I'm not really looking for like mainstream fame and none of that. Honestly, I just want to express myself, you know. I do that with my writing. I want to make a little bit of money so that I can support myself and my family, and also to help others with whatever money I make. And lastly, I just want to inspire other Black people to make their work if they want to. Their stories are valid. And that's pretty much it. Some weirdness going on here. People probably ask, oh, why don't you want to be famous? Why don't you want the fame? Well, honestly, I don't know if any of y'all have been paying attention, but fame ain't worth a shit, as you can see. These celebrities, it's not worth a damn thing, so what's the point of it? It's not worth anything. It seems like these celebrities, that's all they get is the fame. They don't get no money, they just get the fame. And fame isn't really worth anything. To me, anyway. I don't like everybody all up in my business, first off. On a personal level, you know, they can be all up in my work. That's totally fine. My characters, my stories, they can be all up in that. But me as a person, like, I'm cool. I like to be left alone. I like to be on my own. Am I messing it up again? Why am I streaming it? Because it keeps me working. You know, it keeps me working at it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be working at it. I would be doing something else. When I stream, I feel like I have kind of a job to do. And then I also stream too, so that other